when the media tells you there's no evidence, when the left tells you there's no evidence, they're just, I don't know, are they lying to you or are they ignorant? You can pick. I wanted to go over some of the new information that's come out here because the media is not going to tell you about it, but I am. And if Congress is doing some of the heavy lifting finally through these whistleblowers and other investigations, well, I'd be remiss as the head of a watchdog group in not highlighting it. The Ways and Means Committee released new documents. I think they've had hundreds of documents. I looked through them. And so here are some of the highlights. The documents released, and I'm going to read from their release. They reveal Joe Biden's connections to his son Hunter Biden's business dealings. The materials confirm that Hunter Biden was traveling the world to sell influence and access to the Biden brand, meaning to his father, Joe Biden. And Hunter even referred to access to his father as the keys to my family's only asset. In fact, according to the documents, here it is. There's a message from Hunter. You see it there. Explain to me one thing Tony brings to my table that I so desperately need, that I'm willing to sign over my family's brand and pretty much the rest of my business life. Read the bleeping documents, people. It's plain bleeping English. Why in blank name would I give this marginal bully the keys to my family's only asset? Why? Who's the family's only asset? Of course it's President Biden. The scheme generated millions of dollars from foreign countries for members of the Biden family, channeled through a vast array of corporate entities and shell companies. The evidence also documents a campaign by the Justice Department to protect the Biden family from investigation, even as Hunter Biden attempted to evade paying taxes on income that came from foreign countries, including China, Ukraine, and others. The Biden protection effort was strongest whenever investigative steps might have led to or implicated actions taken by Joe Biden. During the investigation into his son, Justice Department officials instructed investigators seeking a search warrant to erase any mention, let's bring up that clip there, of political figure one, whose documents obviously showed to be, basically they're talking about Joe Biden here. As a priority, someone needs to redraft Attachment B. Please focus on FARA evidence only. There should be nothing about political figure one in here. So they didn't want Joe in there. Now Leslie Wolf, she's implicated in a lot of this obstruction. Now the left likes to make a big show of saying, well, this happened during the Trump administration, as if we're supposed to be persuaded that the Justice Department, that was viciously anti-Trump, was desperate to jail Trump while protecting Joe Biden and Obama and Hillary through the entire 4 years of President Trump. That we're supposed to presume that because they were Trump Justice Department officials that they were willing to apply the law fairly. And that's not the case. We don't have no evidence that was ever the case during the Trump administration with the Deep State Justice Department, and we see evidence of it here. Documents also show Hunter Biden and his business associates had access to the White House and Joe Biden's advisors. Biden's business associates were instructed to, quote, not mention Joe being involved on official trips to Ukraine, line up U.S. government actions in Hunter Biden, to the Hunter Biden, I can't read from, there's a label here I can't read through. I guess they're referencing Biden's family bottom line. And CNN even had this information. I don't know if CNN reported it. Let's go to the CNN. So here's an email. Producer has an email from Hunter saying he expected all of his stuff to go away when his dad became president. Well, he almost was right? Because they had that sweetheart plea deal that would have given him a slap on the wrist for serious IRS tax charges, no investigation into the conspiracy, racketeering, and Foreign Agent Registration Act violations, and sliding that gun charge through with no criminal liability at all. So I think that's all I want to go through here. But, you know, that's new evidence, right? So we have evidence now that Joe Biden was getting half his income, according to his son, from his son, that the big guy, Joe Biden, was benefiting from these Chinese deals, that Joe Biden was personally involved in the business activities of his son, like calling his associates and calling his son when business meetings were taking place and participating directly in the meetings with him in person at one point. So it's pretty powerful evidence, isn't it? And so when the media tells you there's no evidence, when the left tells you there's no evidence, they're just, I don't know, are they lying to you or are they ignorant? You can pick. I think it's lying. I don't think it's ignorant. And if it's ignorant, it's willful ignorance. So either way, there's a moral responsibility to be forthright. But we're not getting it. And of course, Judicial Watch is continuing its own separate investigations into these Biden issues. So how did the impeachment hearing go? I gave it a B+. I think the Republicans should have been a bit more forceful, both through their witnesses and in being forthright as to concluding what the evidence shows, like what I try to do, right? In the hearing room itself, the Democrats were acting like clowns, high school students running around, laughing, joking, pretending that the evidence didn't show what it showed. When Marjorie Taylor Greene, for instance, provided that shocking information about Hunter's involvement in human trafficking with young women, what was the Democrat response? Oh, it's pornography. We can't show it. And of course, it wasn't pornography, quite literally. But that was their response, not outrage about the evidence of human trafficking involving Joe Biden's son and Joe Biden's potential involvement in that, because the issue is, did Joe help pay for some of his son's misconduct in that regard? You know, the money flowed both ways at one point, it looked like. So it's pretty serious stuff. I don't know how quickly the Republicans are prepared to move on this, but they need to get moving, right? As I said in the video earlier, impeachment's necessary but not sufficient. And by necessary, I mean we need it done now. Not in 6 months, not in 10 months, but we need to get to a conclusion and move forward with impeachment as soon as practical. And that means bringing in witnesses immediately. That means subpoenaing immediately and then seeking court relief if they don't get the records immediately in an emergency fashion. So I'm fearful that some of this impeachment push by the Republicans is a little bit half-hearted. It's a little too narrow. I'm not seeing any evidence, for instance, they want to impeach him, President Biden, over his failure to uphold his oath of office and, frankly, to attack the American people through this border invasion. Or, for instance, the censorship issue. He wants to censor people. Isn't that corruption? And he's proud about it. And he's trying to jail jail Trump. Isn't that corruption? So if I were doing an impeachment inquiry, I'd look at all those issues. But we'll see. So it wasn't a bad start. The media is going to make fun of them and mock them no matter what they do. So they should be as aggressive as possible because they're going to get mocked no matter what. So that was my initial take. And as I said, in the meantime, Judicial Watch's dozen or so lawsuits and probably dozens of FOIA requests will continue into the Biden family corruption scandal. For instance, we uncovered how Hunter traveled to 29 countries when Joe was vice president. At least 29 countries. And the documents released this week by the House Ways and Means Committee and talked about at the hearing this week, Hunter and the Hunter family operation, including Joe, it looks like, was getting money from 23 different countries. 23. A lot of work to be done, and they're already a little bit late and behind the ball because they haven't gotten the key records from the hunter directly. And frankly, Joe, you got to get Joe's records as well. Just beyond his tax return records, but there's other records to be gotten. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.